Recording in progress.
Now we're in business.
Recording in progress.
Hey Mary, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm out walking my dog and I just saw a trip over a branch. So the fact that I'm getting tripped is really good.
Yeah.
Are you streaming?
Yes.
Okay. Are you sending some audio?
Yes.
Okay. Let it keep streaming. Give me a
Test, test. There we go. Test, test, test.
No, that's Councilmember Schwer. I don't think she's coming tonight, but when I tested with that one, you can barely hear. So, yeah, that's better. Look at you, you beat everybody.
I know. Every now and then. How you doing?
Good.
Excellent. What do you think? Quiet night tonight?
Well, depends how what you guys do with the consent agenda. Lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I want all the kilos in for the fire posters.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Hello. Excellent. How about yourself? Good.
I don't want to share. How's work going for you?
Busy.
Yeah?
Yeah, this gets to be the busy time of the year, so.
Sure. Right here. You got 15 minutes yet. Really? 5:15? Oh, 10. I need to get this signed tonight. So that's why I brought it up here. Okay, I'll make sure to take care of it. Okay. That guy has been calling me daily. And his attorney's gonna come pick it up in the morning. Okay. Oh, do you want to sit by me? I don't care. You can. Well, Dan's gonna stay here, right? I gotta talk to, so
Okay, totally up to you.
I know you always share this one. For what meeting? Stick that right on. I'm not looking forward to sitting for the next 2 hours. Please share. Sure would be nice to get some good conference room chairs. You know where we can get some?
I'll wheel one of these down there before they get here.
Those are the worst, too. Yeah. They're too big. Do you like that?
No, that's why I was volunteering to get rid of them.
So you make a chair too, huh? Good. Yeah, I was like, Those are made for like somebody that's probably 6'5" or, yeah, I don't know, they just feel like they're real, just feel, yeah, my back is always like, I don't know. One thing at a time, right, Brandon? Yeah. Although, if we replace these chairs
or be able to incorporate our CSO on this, because CSOs aren't doing traffic stops, to allow them to identify vehicles with headlights out and then write them down, and then that's the instance where we would be sending out the letter requesting the driver to come in and receive the voucher. Reached out to a couple auto shops in town already to gauge their involvement. Haven't heard back from any of them yet, but I'm going to continue that engagement to try to bring them all in. We are working with Maplewood, who received a full-time employee from the county attorney's office to help facilitate the sending out letters and all of the paperwork back-end channels. So we're going to be sending any information that we get related to the program directly to that FTE funded by the county attorney's office that's going to work in Maplewood, and then they're going to be facilitating that back-end paperwork for us. So kind of a true collaboration of work on this project.
That's always great to see many partners at the table. Do you see that is there a clear understanding between the different parties, like for Maplewood? Is it the evaluation data, or is it the financial pieces that individual will take care of?
I think they're going to be writing the letters and actually sending out the letter informing the driver, hey, we spotted your vehicle without a headlight. If you'd like to come into the city of North St. Paul, if it's inspired from one of our incidents, then it would have our branding on the letter, versus Maplewood will have almost the same language, but it's going to have the city of Maplewood's information on there, directing them to Maplewood.
Any other questions? Yes.
Sherman Patterson. So each voucher will have each department's logo or emblem on it, so that's identified. And also what Liaison would do is we will also update them, update the departments periodically. Now we do it twice a year, but we're probably going to move to quarterly to show them how many they have redeemed, so that can be measured and they can see the outcome and see how the program is working. So we're working with that, and then with the program where we're working with North St. Paul and Maplewood, we're working that out now. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Any last questions? All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks.
City Manager Frandl.
Thank you, Mayor. Next up is our 2024 internal service funds and other budgets. We got Dan here, our finance director, Mr. Winnick.
I'll be in touch. And Shar, thank you.
It worked.
Well, good evening, Mayor and council members. This is the last installment of the budgets. The first meeting in December, we will have the Truth in Taxation, which is the public hearing regarding the budget. And then the budgets will be approved in the last meeting in December. In tonight's installment of the budgets, we'll be talking about our internal service funds, and our other budgets are really our special revenue funds. Our internal service funds account for the financing of goods and services provided by one department to another department within the city on a cost reimbursement basis. We have 5 of them. We have the Information Technology Internal Service Fund, the Insurance, Equipment, City Mechanic, and the Building Maintenance Internal Service Fund. The Information Technology, it's all of the budgets were attached to your documentation and line item detail. The Information Technology budget is a balanced budget of $495,000. The significant changes is the contractual services expense budget for Metro INET that is increased. Yes, we will be looking at other ways to provide those services and do an analysis before the middle of next year, because that is the time that we would have to give notification if we were to go away from Metro INET. This is the second year that we've seen significant increases. If you remember last year, meaning this year, was a 20% increase. This is a 12% increase. In attending one of their quarterly meetings, their projections kind of look like we're at about a 10% increases for the next few years. So we definitely need to look at if we can get a different service provider and to save some money in that. Then we have the insurance fund. It's a balanced budget of $525,000. We're increasing it from our budget of 2023, approximately 7%. It includes our workman's compensation insurance, property insurance, general liability, and auto insurance. Now, those premiums from what we're paying this year technically will not be increasing 7%. However, our budget was not as high as it should have been. And like we did last year, we will be coming in with an amendment to adjust some of our budgets. We don't get the final numbers on insurance. We actually just got information on this, I think, about 2 weeks ago. So for budgetary purposes, we put in estimates. And so that's why we're seeing the 7% increase from where we were at in 2023. The equipment fund, the budget of $411,000. All of the items were included and are included in the capital improvement plan that you've already seen. So there's a list of those. We have revenues of a little over $1 million. The revenues come in two components. One charges back from the general fund departments, and then we're including in that revenue the funding that'll be coming for the public safety funds of $542,000. And there's a city mechanic. It's really a small budget. It just really covers specific materials and equipment that the city mechanic needs. All other costs that are attributed directly to a piece of vehicle is charged to that department directly. These are charged overall to all of the benefiting departments that utilize the city mechanic. It's a balanced budget of approximately $42,000. The significant changes, supplies increased approximately $3,000, and contractual services increased about $2,500. And then the last of the internal service funds is the building maintenance fund. And so that's taking care of Public Works, City Hall, and all of the parks facilities. It has a budget of $631,000, revenues of just under $500,000. We'll require to use fund balance of about $137,000. Significant changes are supplies decreased $9,000, contractual services increased $56,000, and capital increased $108,000. The big component for the capital increase from our discussion on the CIP, there were new police garage doors that were on the schedule for 2025. From the discussion that took place during the capital improvement plan, we moved it up to 2024. Again, that hasn't been finalized. The City Council, you still have the right to change that if you disagree. In addition, if you remember, I think the estimates were about $180,000. Again, there's some questions that the city manager and City Council has regarding that type of a cost for, I think there's approximately 6 doors that are on the city or on the police side. So there's still some adjustments that can end up being made with that. I'm going to stop right here after the internal service funds and ask if there's any questions specifically on any of these 5 internal service funds.
Any questions?
I do. I'm getting confused on the supplies decreased being an increase in cost. Can you explain that to me?
It's not an increase in cost, it's a significant change.
Oh, okay.
And so significant changes, yeah, they can go up or down, yeah.
Any other questions? Okay.
Okay, the other budgets and their special revenue funds, we have budget for the community center, community event, fire relief, park fund, and the street maintenance fund. The community center fund, was created in 2020 to account for internal revenue of the facility and associated maintenance expenditures. The budget shows no rental revenue. We've lost our tenant and approximately $87,000 worth of operating expenses. So that will end up having to come from the community center fund balance. The long-term use of the building is still under discussion and final decisions needs to be made on that. The next fund is the community event fund, and that's really to account for events that are sponsored by the Art and Culture Committee, Park and Recreation Committee, and also includes the North St. Paul Car Show. The budget's just under $31,000, revenues are $13,000, and it'll use a fund balance of approximately just under $18,000. And then there's the Fire Relief Fund. And the Fire Relief Fund was created in 2019 to pass through North St. Paul's Fire State Aid to the North St. Paul Fire Relief Association and accumulate additional funding for future pension contributions to ensure 100% funding. For 2023, the Fire State Aid was $85,000. So we usually set this budget up approximately about $90,000. If you remember, there was there's a transfer that takes place between the general fund and this fire relief fund. And so they get this fire state aid that comes from the state, and then the city makes the additional contribution to come up to the $90,000. If you remember, there's been some discussion on changing the pension contribution for the Fire Relief Association, something that's being recommended by the fire chief. There still needs to be some analysis onto that because there is a long-term liability that is inherent with any decision that is made upon that for the city. And so that analysis needs to take place. The city manager needs to weigh in on that, make a discussion before it's presented to city council, whether that's something of interest in the timing of that. And then there's the Park Fund, and the Park Fund was created to finance capital improvement plans. Of our approximately $1.6 million of local government aid, $100,000 goes to the Park Fund. You can see we're also we have the Housing Park Grant, that's $194,000 that's included in this budget. And then there's $36,000 in levy. That levy was newly created this year. If you remember in our budget discussions, we're going to have 2% that is going to be going to street maintenance. And then we're going to have, I believe it's 0.55% of a levy going to, I think it's the Park Fund, and then 0.45 going to, I can't remember the other one, but that's where this 36,000 is coming. And then there's a transfer out of this fund of $65,000 to pay the debt that's related to the Casey Lake Pavilion. Major projects in this park fund for 2024 include McKnight Field Master Planning, the Housing Park Project, Downtown Park Master Planning, and the West End Passive Park, and the Casey Lake parking lot. And again, those were all included in the CIP plan. So that's all of our other funds that we haven't touched base that we budget for. And so do we have any questions with any of those?
Any questions? In regards to the community center, does that mean that there's no funds available in it at the current moment then? Because we have to draw it from the, another place. For the original.
The community event fund has a fund balance, so it's coming out of that fund balance. It's not a significant dollar amount. It will cover this, community center. It will cover the $87,000 worth of expenditures. Eventually, it will run out. I mean, the city does need to make a decision what they're going to do with the community center in the future. It does not include, if the city were to decide to take the state grant and operate it as a multicultural facility, it does not include any of the programming costs or any other potential costs that would come out of that. If that were to come, if there's not a revenue source, then that's going to end up having an impact on the levy.
And what is the balance after those operating costs are taken out?
Off the top of my head, I'm going to say it probably will be underneath $100,000.
Okay. Any other questions? And can you speak a little bit to no, I'm good, thank you. Right. Any other thing? Otherwise, city manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Next up is the 2024 municipal fee schedule. We have Brandy Howe here, Community Development Director, to discuss.
Brandy?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Does everybody have access to the proposed fee schedule in front of you? I don't know if I have a way to connect to show it on the screen here. Oh, thank you. Okay, so I'll begin to do that if you'll give me a moment. But you'll notice that the fee schedule as proposed has been a little bit modified in years past. We have improved the layout in order to make it a little bit more usable and user-friendly to people that are actually interested in knowing what our city fees are. How the heck do I? Thanks for bearing with me here. Okay, here we go. So we've got a slightly modified fee schedule format. We tried to organize the categories in a way that would be easier for users to find the fees that they're looking for. So I'll just kind of start at the beginning and go through all the areas that we have proposed changes. The first one being in the administrative fees. We have proposed an increase in the candidate filing fee of $5 up to $50, and that would be consistent with what other communities are doing in our jurisdiction near us. We would suggest the minimum amount, if it's not going to increase to 50, it could be 15. But that is under discussion, and that is a suggestion. Our animal registration fees, we currently don't charge for bees, chickens, or dog kennel licenses. And so we're suggesting that that increased from 0 to 25 per applicant per year, as well as the trapping license. We have these items in our municipal code, but they have been absent from our previous fee schedule. So we just kind of went through all of our licenses and fees and made sure that we had an applicable fee to match it. The proposed building, mechanical, and plumbing permit fees, these are listed based on state statute. I would like to point out, we have been, per council's direction, evaluating our contract with building inspector, and we believe that we'll be moving forward with a new contract in the coming weeks. And so those fees that will be associated with that new contractor will affect the fee schedule. So anything related to building permits, mechanical permits, plumbing permits, et cetera, will need to be reevaluated, and that'll be brought forward at the next city council meeting. And so that decision came prior to this packet coming out. So here it is again. There's some additional permit fees related to the inspections that will also be impacted, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. The right-of-way permit fees are proposed to change based on the, I think this was just a reorganization from where they were before, so this is a clarification of our existing fees. The duplicate permit fee, this apparently happens a lot where multiple contractors or the applicant pull the permit for the same project, and there's just a communication issue. So we are proposing to refund fully any duplicate permits. And down to business licenses, we are suggesting, not that we would ever get a amusement park permit fee, but comparable to other communities, we are suggesting that we increase that fee from $125 to $350 for each instance for a temporary event. And then if we're going to have a long-term amusement park, the fee would be $2,000 at the initial license and $150 for renewal. Auctioneer, we're suggesting it go up to 25. This, I think, is another one of those cases where we had 0 in there before, and we just added it to the fee schedule. Christmas tree sale license, we're proposing to increase to 250, comparable to what we're doing, or what Maplewood and Oakdale are doing. And lawful gambling license, motion picture license, we're also increasing those based on neighboring communities. Taxi cab, it's another one where we weren't previously charging, but we're suggesting that if it's in the ordinance, we should probably have a fee associated with the processing of it. The massage therapist enterprise, we are proposing that it drop from $2,000 to $600 based on what our neighboring communities are doing. No changes to the alcohol licenses. Contractor licenses, we're suggesting that all the contractor licenses have the same flat rate of $80. Block parties, we're proposing $20 per event. Recreational programming would vary. The recreational programming would be anything that the Parks Commission or the Arts Commission might decide to do over the course of the year that we don't necessarily have a rate established at this time. One of the things that would fall within that is the paint parties that the Arts Commission has been doing this past year. So that rate, I think, is $10. So we're just kind of capturing it in this catch-all bucket. Electrical charges are the same. Fire department fees are also unchanged. Park and rec fees are unchanged. We're proposing that our fence permit and driveway permit go up from 65 to 75, as well as parking lot repaving. I'm removing the $25 per lot fee for PUDs and platting, simply because we just don't have that many plats that would require large amounts of lots platted. Increasing the escrows in a couple of instances, just to make sure that we have adequate funds to cover our professional services fees. Oops. And variances, we're suggesting those fees go up $300 for residential variance, $750 for non-residential. Police department also submitted their fees. They were mostly related to administrative costs and police officer hours. I would defer to Phil if you have any questions with those. No changes to public works or well, we do have a change related to utility, and I'll have Dan give an explanation for those.
Yeah, we have a few changes to the utilities. One is underneath the electric, and there's an Oakdale franchise fee change, which it's the city of North St. Paul recently approved a franchise agreement renewal with Oakdale. Oakdale had passed an ordinance changing their franchise fee from a flat fee to a percentage, and so now their percentage is 3% of the total revenue. And so that'll go into effect January 1st. So it'll show up for the just Oakdale residents that their electric utility services are provided to. But that they will not see that until the February billing comes out, because we bill 1 month in the past. We will take a similar methodology in which we did with the 2.25% credit and debit card fee, where we put it onto our website. We put a mailing insert. So the mailing insert for this one will only go to those who are being serviced in Oakdale by the electric department, to kind of inform them of the 3%. So we are currently in works with developing that language with the city of Oakdale on that insert. Then there's 2 other changes, if you can go down. As we went through the enterprise funds, there's going to be a 4% increase in both surface water and wastewater rates. And so these rate changes reflect that 4% of a change. And I think that's all of the changes that we will end up having on the utilities for 2024.
And that's actually all of the proposed changes for the fee schedule as well.
Thank you. Any comments, thoughts, questions?
One of the things I was surprised not to see, that I believe is a separate cost for residents, isn't there a separate cost for putting a deck on?
That would be a building permit.
Just a general building permit?
Yep, that's handled under the building permit fees. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Yes.
What, with all the proposed rate increases, what is the net income result of all these changes?
I would have to do some evaluating and bring that back to you at the next meeting.
Okay, I guess because I challenged some of them, just because other communities are higher, I don't know why we have to be, unless we've got deficits to come up with. My other challenge is the underwater rates. I don't understand why we have a 3-tiered water rate consumption plan based on usage, why we just don't have a flat rate.
Councilmember Cole, that's a good question. I mean, it's definitely something that we can look at. Historically, that's the way it's always been. I think part of it from a philosophical standpoint, I think that as the higher you go up, I think the rates are a little bit higher. So higher consumption is in certain ways penalized versus the lower consumption. But something definitely that we can look at and present back to City Council.
Just curiosity, because these are residential rates, not commercial rates, right? Or are they both?
They're both.
Okay. All right.
Come on down.
Mayor, members of the council. So the block tier water consumption schedule for rates, I mean, every city is going to have different rates, but the idea of a block tier to promote conservation is a requirement of the DNR and has been for some time. So all cities do have some version of that in place, but each city does have the flexibility within those block tiers, high, medium, low usage to be able to set those rates however they see fit based on utility rate study or other information. So you will see some consistency with that type of multiple rates, with higher rates going towards the higher consumers. And the idea, again, as mandated by the DNR, is to promote the idea of consumption, of preservation of groundwater as a resource or of drinking water as a resource.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not aligned with it, but thank you.
I am.
I don't think government needs to step in and dictate how much water you use and penalize you if you use more.
Well, one thing that I would like to bring up is the therapeutic massage enterprise. I see that it's dropped down to from 2,000 to 600. And then I see comments in the right hand that say 200 in Matamidi, 309 in Maplewood. Is that in reference to the therapeutic massage enterprise new or the renewal?
I believe that is the new fee.
Okay. I feel like that is a bit high. I think about oftentimes business owners are small business owners when they have therapeutic massage enterprises. And so I feel like $600 can be a little bit prohibitive when we compare it to some of the other fees for different sectors.
I would tend to agree with that comment. I was trying to bring it down into closer alignment with what our neighbor communities are doing, but still based on our earlier 2,000 per new license, reflect someone's in the past must have had a rationale for that higher value. So we are in a workshop setting, so I'm willing to take any consideration or suggestions.
Yeah, I would propose, 150. Let's see. Perhaps 200.
Is there any more work for the initial setup? Is that why there's a little bit higher as far as the first time? Because renewals are 150?
I would have to consult with staff to get a definitive answer to that question, but I would assume that it's probably fairly similar amount of staff time related to either renewal or a brand new license.
And that's something OpenGov helps us to process, correct?
That is correct.
Ours includes background check. Does that mean theirs doesn't?
Our fee definitively included the background check, so the other ones that were listed, their fee schedule didn't list that as an item. So we didn't have that information at our disposal.
How much is a background check?
I would have to double check unless Phil happens to know. Oh, he's not back there anymore.
I could see then the first time you have to do a background check, just like anything else, if there's a little bit, more work to it, because there's a background check. Well, I don't know if renewal considered a background check too. It's just pointing to the top line. That's just one difference I saw between the two.
So I can seek clarification and make some modifications to the therapeutic massage enterprise. There were others that were questioned. Would you like to talk about those?
Yeah, I'm looking at the auction and auctioneer license. It's $25, which seems substantially lower than some of the other annual license. Is that something to consider being a little bit more on par with what we're seeing with some of the other businesses?
I'm wondering if that is actually a typo now that I'm looking at it. I suspect that it was probably intended to be, well, I don't know, because down here we've got motion picture and outdoor theater are $25. There's some inconsistencies here throughout.
Yeah, I think of it almost closer to a pawn, not necessarily a pawn shop, but closer to a pawn shop type business.
I would like to speak to the auctioneer license. I actually like it being lower. I was actually surprised how often they're needed and used. As a member of the Minnesota Aquarium Society, I've had to get one myself just to do their local club auctions and stuff like that. So I agree with you, for a big business, it sounds low, but the amount of small organizations that actually need an auctioneer's license to stay within the bounds of the law, I like having the fee somewhat low. So it's easy for them and financially stable for them to operate within the bounds of the law.
I'm in line with that. I mean, you look at charity auctions that utilize an auction service. You look at estate sales that utilize an auction service. Yeah, I don't want to put anything that's too punitive to back that down.
I think that still 25 is a bit low. It doesn't have to be punitive, but I think that there can be room for something a little bit more comparable. Say 150, that seems to be a pattern.
Prior to this, it was 0, correct?
Yes.
How many licenses do we process per year, roughly?
I don't think we process any, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of these new fees that are in here, they're located in here because we have ordinances that say that we require licenses. So I think another step in our cleanup as we move forward in 2024 is evaluating how many of these are necessary, and maybe modifying the ordinances as appropriate. So I heard 25, maybe too low. 150, does that seem like the appropriate number?
I'm fine with 25 or less, especially if we have 0 people apply.
So for 25, we can see what it looks like.
Okay.
Still think it's really low.
Any other comments or questions?
Councilmember Wong, are you done? I've got one more, but I don't want to interrupt.
Are you looking for a little bit more direction on that particular?
Oh, I just want to make sure that you're comfortable with the fees that are proposed, and if not, let's discuss which ones maybe need to be modified. So if we're still talking about auctioneer, I'm happy to continue that conversation, but if there's other ones you'd like to touch on as well, I'd want to move on.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to jump in, Park and Rec. I just want to review that real quick. It's also on the consent agenda, and I, prior to this is a good place to have a conversation about it because I planned on pulling it from the consent agenda. I have concerns, and I guess I'm curious to know how the rates were scheduled, and I'm primarily focused on Casey Lake Pavilion. I think that it's a heck of a bargain for a resident, which is exactly what the property was built and designed for. I think there is some abuse that the property takes. There's a lot of damage that takes place. I guess I would just love to understand what the other properties around us in the community are going for. St. Pete's, what are some of the other properties going for rentals? And what are their damage deposits?
That's a good suggestion. We can get that information for the next meeting.
I second that, because I know when I talk to Public Works and other ones that there seems to be a lot of trouble after events, and there's a lot of headaches and cleanup. So just understand where we're at and have enough skin in the game that people take care of things, I think really matters.
I see Freddie's head nodding back there too, so. And the other thing, and it's not necessarily in the fees, but I don't remember if it was in the packet that we've been asked to approve tonight in the consent agenda. I would like us to take a deeper look at, currently right now, Casey Lake is approved to be rented through 11 o'clock. Summer hours, the park closes at 10. I would like to see that the hours of the building be consistent with the hours of the park. And I would also like to add an additional fee or a percentage of the fee that if the party doesn't vacate at the appropriate time, that they will forfeit some or all of their deposit. Our cleaners sit out there and wait. They've had to call the police to come out and ask people to vacate. I just think we need to put a little bit more muscle into what we're doing for Casey Lake.
I second that.
I'm wondering, outside of the fees, if there's another way we can approach it as well. Fees are certainly one way. The other component is, how do residents or those renting receive the information and know that they're accountable for it?
It's in the
Yep, sorry. The renters do have to sign when they acknowledge all of the criteria for which they are responsible for when they're filling out their application. And if we need to make additional step of making sure that a conversation is had between parties and staff at the time of the key pickup, we can make that part of the rental as well.
Yeah, I think definitely looking at it from it sounds like more opportunity for education, whether that be you need to watch this video, and sometimes people just don't read. So I think if we can look at additional ways to communicate with the public around the building, then I think that could be helpful and worthwhile.
I'm not sure what our fee is compared to some, but sometimes being the least expensive is not the best, because it can draw, things, and we just want people that use it to make sure they take care of it, especially our non-residents.
I'm also aware that the city has found event planners that find our building very feasible from a pricing standpoint, rent it from the city, and then turn back around and re-rent it out for events. So this one's got a little bit of passion right here. So that was the other reason why I was going to pull it from the consent agenda, is just for additional conversation around it. But as long as we're having it here, because I believe, what's the date? We have to pass this thing tonight. Because residents can start renting 12/1,
This thing meaning the fee schedule or the park policy?
fee schedule.
Well, the,
And Carrie, do we have to have damage deposits and all that stuff? It's probably got to be squared away before December 1st. Right. Parks has to be completed before December 1st.
well, the fee schedule is not on the agenda for council action.
It is. It's on the consent agenda. Park and Rec is.
That's the policy.
No, the rental rates are on there, aren't they? Park rental policy, P, consent agenda, item P.
I see. Okay.
Thank you.
Just wondering how that works in collaboration with the fee schedule.
It's separate.
I understand it's separate, but we're going to have potentially two different sets of fees then, if you change the fees in the park policy tonight. You know what I mean?
Is this date known, this December 1st by you? Is this something that's new?
The December 1st date, that's when the park facilities become available for residents. I guess it wasn't on my radar.
And non-residents are available 1/2, or whatever the first day of business is.
Is that something we can adjust?
Are there changes to the rates that are going to be on city council tonight for the parks? Are there rate changes?
I had nothing to suggest. I just wanted to know better understand the due diligence that was put behind the recommendation of not changing anything.
Correct, I understand that. So the park and recreation fees can be approved tonight and can go into effect December 1st if there are no changes. If there are any changes, there needs to be public notification and it needs to be posted for 10 days. That's where this whole park and rec fee would be. So we're still okay if there's no changes for the park and rec component. In addition, we do need to do some research to find out from your request to see if the rentals should change in the future. If that happens, it can either be done separately or be done through here, but a public notification needs to be done and posted for 10 days to be adopted.
Okay. And I'm recommending that the changes be made before that's made available, because we're entering into a contractual agreement with residents on
Absolutely.
December 1st. So whatever, their contracts would then be binding whether we change them afterwards or not.
Absolutely. So then we'll have to, at this point in time, we'll have to hold off on the item that's being presented tonight for city council.
Yeah. And I mean, again, my question goes back to what diligence was done to put into rates, what energy and effort was put into damage. Have we taken a look at the total damages that were caused to the property throughout the year?
That has not been reviewed, but we certainly can.
I can't remember during the summer, I think every time I went up to City Hall, there was either a bathroom pipe broken, something flooded at one of the locations and stuff like that. So it was some real money that was happening between Casey Lake and the other bathrooms and other things for our facilities that were being destroyed, to where it was to even open them up towards the end of the year because we ran out of equipment to even replace.
And does that come out of the building fund, building maintenance fund?
Either comes out of there or comes out of the general fund underneath the parks budget component to it. Now, and I don't know specifically, we would end up having to speak with a public works director on this. But I don't know if all of the damages were created by rentals.
Yep, I know it wasn't all of them, but there was
Right.
quite a few as
Right.
far as that.
So.
But I think that'd be a good study for everything, because it sounded like a bad year.
Absolutely.
What I was listening to at City Hall.
Yeah. And it really comes down to, again, with the policy discussion of what costs are included, how much is being subsidized, how much is not being subsidized, because, janitorial costs, need to be considered, staff time needs to be, and so forth. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot more due diligence that needs to be done on. Yeah.
Randy, was there any additional costs besides the $150 deposit for people having alcohol at their events?
Presently, no, there are no additional changes as far as fees proposed in the policy.
Is there any way we can have it so we know, like the situation that Councilmember Cole brought up, where they're renting to another group then, that they're not allowed to sublet? I mean, that's a part of it too. I mean, if I did hear the same thing that Councilmember Cole did, that people would get it and then they rent it out again to somebody else.
That I'm not familiar with, and I don't know how we could police that, but we could certainly make it part of the policy.
I don't know if there's license, I don't know, but it sounds to me like it may be an issue, what's happening there.
I'm looking at, our next council meeting is on December the 5th. How much, Carrie, I'm looking at you, what angst, what problems, what if we postpone offering up the rental until whatever the Wednesday is, the 6th? 6-day delay, are we gonna have residents up in arms, are we?
So like a big day where at the first they call up and get their plans in, kind of like camping. You got to call January, otherwise you're sleeping on a road somewhere.
Uh-huh. And then same with amending the close time. That would probably need to go into the contract as well.
That, to me, seems like a less of an issue for changing right now, because that could be included in the park policy that you're going to pull at the next, the next meeting in 10 minutes. So we can modify that policy. Just to,
Again, everything is available as of right now, 12/1. So all the changes to park rentals need to either be resolved by 12/1, or we carry through a lot of crappy phone calls and ask that it be delayed.
To do it right, I think it would be nice just to tell people, look, we can put your name down, we can put a reservation date on it. These are changes that might be coming. Sorry, we don't have the policy updated until a week from today or something. I think it's still doable.
That works.
If you're okay.
Yeah.
I recommend that over trying to do something and wait a whole year.
Yeah.
Have to live through like a summer we had.
Yep.
My thought.
Jason?
Shooting from the hip, Dan, how much financial issues were created from the parks last year?
I couldn't even guesstimate at that. I would have to get back to city council on that.
I'm okay with what was suggested. I'm also okay putting it on a city council date of September or October for a good, give them plenty of time to get data and a discussion. I could see either way.
I mean, if our rates are aligned, I'm fine with that, but I haven't heard anything presented that stated our rates are aligned with what's going on here. And my primary goal is to fix damage.
We've certainly been more forward this year on issues that come along and keeping deposits than previously. As far as staff coming to me and asking me about issues that they've had, I could probably count on one hand how many times we had that to where it was significant enough that it was taking all of their deposit. That's just to my knowledge of that they've come to me on it.
Again, I think it's striking a balance of we want people to occupy this space and use it for events, et cetera, and we want to make sure that those damages are covered. Do we ever set aside specific funds for this particular building for the maintenance of it?
Not for this specific facility. All park facilities are lumped together, so.
Same with all city rentals?
All city rentals as far as parks related. All the rental revenue goes into the park fund. The expenditures are, regular maintenance items are in the building maintenance fund predominantly.
Any other thoughts?
We'll get those changes made and get them back to you right away.
Thank you. And then any other last discussion for the fee schedule? I guess my last thing is probably that the candidate filing fee for mayor and city council is $50. I think that's too high.
I'm aligned. I think we had to scrape up $5 last time.
Yeah. I think that's, something we want to encourage people is to participate in government. So if we can make it a little bit more affordable than not, then I think that could be helpful.
Does it make sense to make it $15 to cover our technology processing fee? Or would you like to keep it at $5?
15, yes, covering the fees
Whatever our cost is,
yep.
not necessarily.
at cost.
I like 15.
Yeah.
All right. Staff, do you feel like you have enough information at this time?
I have adequate direction to do some more studying, and that will be brought forward at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. And if I can get a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Councilmember Cole?
Second.
I get a chance to do it. Let me do it. Second.
Well, I looked at you, John, I didn't move, so I was
Angie?
pausing.
I want to
All
be the
those in
second.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say nay. All right, the meeting's adjourned at 6:25.
Nice job. Thank you. Thanks a lot. That's the best Pledge of Allegiance we've had. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cole?
Here.
Councilmember Schwer is absent. Councilmember Wong?
Here.
Councilmember Nordby?
Here.
Mayor Monge?
Here. Oh, sorry. I was so gross with the guests. To adopt the agenda, please. The motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved, Your Honor.
Move. Councilmember Norby.
Second.
Second. Councilmember Cole. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Presentations.
Go ahead.
You're ready. Thank you.
All right, welcome Mayor and council members. I'd like to welcome my team that was part of our Fire Prevention Week, Assistant Chief Fixon, Captain Johnson, and Firefighter McKenzie. They were instrumental, as they are every year, in going out to the schools and talking to the students and teaching them about fire prevention and fire safety. Every year, the fire department, again, works hard, fire and safety concerns and prevention. This year's campaign, Cooking Safety Starts With You, works to educate everyone about simple but important actions so they can keep themselves and those around them safe from home fires, especially involving cooking. Today's homes burn faster than ever. You may have as little as 2 minutes or even less time to safely escape a home fire from the time the smoke alarm sounds. Your ability to get out of a home during a fire depends on early detection from smoke alarms and advanced planning. So Assistant Chief Fixon, Captain Johnson, and Firefighter Foster, and additional other staff talk to the kids how it's important for everyone to plan and practice cooking safety and home fire escape. That everyone needs to be prepared in advance so they know what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. Given that every home is different, every home fire escape plan will also be different. So they talk to them about working with their families on their home escape plan. Have everyone in their home, children and adults, all people with disabilities, and how everybody needs assistance waking up and how to get out and their location that they need to go to. Some of the facts that they shared with them were smoke alarms should be installed in every sleeping room outside, outside each separate sleeping area and on every level of your home. Smoke alarms should be interconnected so when one sounds, they all sound. Know at least 2 ways out of every room if possible, and make sure all doors and windows open easily. Have an outside meeting place, a safe distance away from your home where everyone should meet, and to practice your home fire drill at least twice a year with everyone in the household, including guests. Practice at least once during the day and at night. I'd like to have Brent come up, Assistant Chief Fixon, and complete the rest.
How are we doing, everyone? All right, so this year, during Fire Prevention Week, the fire department visited 5 elementary schools. We spent roughly 30 hours with students going to over 5 elementary schools, 1,100 students, teaching them about fire safety and prevention. Our goal was to make a lasting impact on these young students to learn how to prevent fires and how to be safe in their homes. This year's Fire Prevention Poster Contest had over 500 entries. The rules were simple and clear. The contest is open to all students in elementary schools, grades kindergarten through 5th in North St. Paul. The theme for the poster this year was Cooking Safety Starts With You. It must be on the posters, and all posters must be original. There were 3 categories, kindergarten through 1st grade, 2nd grade and 3rd grade, and 4th and 5th. Each category has 3 winners, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. All 1st place winners will have their posters entered into the Minnesota State Fire Chiefs Association Fire Prevention Poster Contest, where they will go up against other students across the state of Minnesota for similar prizes. We have been very fortunate in the past to have winners at this level as well. So we have high expectations going through some of these posters. I feel like we'll take them down this year, just my prediction. So now we'd like to present some of the winners for the 2023 North St. Paul Fire Prevention Poster Contest. We are going to start with kindergarten through first grade winners. We will start at the third place, winning $25, coming from Christ Lutheran, Paxton Tao. Paxton, are we in the house? All right. Come on up here. All right, well, let's give him a round of applause anyway.
Yeah.
Second place was Jordan. Jordan is out of town. I did talk to her mom. First place, we have from St. Pete's, Hazel Vu. Hazel? Cowan? Okay. Well, I did put it together, so.
Yeah. Yay.
See which one on there. I messed up with this. All right. Second grade and third grade. Third place, Moria Bain. Moria? Good job. Second place winner, Genevieve Jocelyn. And our first place winner in the second, third grade category was Kalisa Calvin.
Yay.
All right.
Woo!
All right, and for the final category, fourth and fifth graders. Third place coming in was Maggie Gill. Second place, Chase Kalova. And the first place winner in the fourth and fifth grade category is Hope Yang.
Yeah.
Nice job again to all the students. Thanks for working hard on those posters. We enjoy going through them. It's a fun and favorite time for us to do that every year, to come out to the schools, speak to everybody, see the familiar faces, teachers, kids, students. It's a good time. We love doing it. And hopefully we're making an impact in everyone's home. I don't know if we want to get everybody together, maybe do a couple pictures or something. And
Ooh.
They got their time.
hang on a minute here.
Say cheese.
DJ, music, let's go.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Well, thank you again.
Hey, good job, guys. Very nice.
Where can we see some of this artwork?
We can see some, oh yeah, we could have brought some of the posters up. We do hang on to all theirs because they get entered in, but then we could post it. We doing it again? Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we could post it. We could even maybe get something to get put up.
Hey, Ethan, sorry I didn't qualify again this year, man.
Yeah, it would be great to see some of these pieces of artwork
Yes.
in City Hall or out in a newsletter. Just really wonderful to see all the entries and everyone really excited to share their artwork around fire safety. So thank you.
Very important issue. Thank you.
Yeah, last year we had a couple winners, and they got sent off to the state level, and they actually made the Fire Chiefs magazine.
Wow.
Brought those to Christ Lutheran. Was one you, was a Yang in it? Yeah, okay.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
I remember that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then I brought the magazines, the Fire Chief magazine, out to Bryce Luton. Did you get that copy of that? Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome. Well,
Awesome.
good luck
Thank
at state.
you.
Thank you.
This is one of the more exciting nights that we ever have at council, so it's fun to see everybody come up, and
Yes.
let's see what we can do to get some of the artwork out. I'd love to see some of that.
Well, we'll let you guys get back to your regular schedule.
Program?
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate
Thank
the
you.
family, everybody showing up. Thanks for doing the pledge with us.
It's nice to see smiles.
Right.
Mackenzie Foster, yep. I don't know who she gave it to, but it wasn't us.
Yeah, pointing all fingers at you.
She's gonna save us and order it.
All righty. We'll get started again then. Next is the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. Long list tonight. First up, item A, October 17th, 2023 workshop minutes. Item B, October 17th, 2023 regular meeting minutes. October 23, 2023 special meeting minutes. Item D, November 7th, 2023 special meeting minutes. Item E, general claims, $3,285,568.59. Item F, HRA claims of $20,513.75. Item G, EDA claims of $3,706. Item H is the 2024 annual polling place designations. Item I is North St. Paul participation in Minnesota Towards Zero Death Grant Program. Item J, building permit report, September and October of 2023. Item K, resolution accepting donations for September and October of 2023. Item L, mailbox repair replacement policy update. Item M, 2024 retainer agreement, Erickson, Bell, Beckman, and Quinn. Item N, Campbell Knutson agreement for legal services. Item O, resolution approving the 2024 SCORE grant application. Item P, park rental policy amendment. Item Q, planning commission appointment. Item R, park and recreation commission appointment. Item S, economic development authority appointment. Item T, site plan at 2371 McKnight Road. Item U, certificate of completion for the 2315 Anchor Drive, which is the extra space storage. Item V, Anchor Block Commons final BMPs, city project number 22-05, final payment. Item W, lead service line inventory professional services proposal by WSB. And item X, declaration of surplus for the fire department.
Thank you. Would anybody like to pull any at this time?
Yes, I'd like to pull item B and also item I.
Did you say which one?
Item B
B? Okay.
and item I.
Aye. So B and I will be added down at the bottom for the business. Any other ones?
I would like to pull item P.
P?
P like Peter.
Be like Peter. All right, that will be brought down to city business. Do we have all those then? We good? All right. Thank you. Let me go back up to, next part is going to be opened to the public.
Mr. Mayor, was there a motion and a second on the?
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Thank you. Get a motion for that.
So moved, Your Honor.
I'll move Councilmember Wong.
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cole. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
All right, you earned your money.
Yep, I did. Glad somebody told me to. Open meeting to the public now at 6:45. We have, anybody online? If not, we have John Schmall. Get so busy about the order, I forget.
Mayor, Council, John Schmall, 2750 Chisholm
Can you turn the microphone around there? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Want to be heard.
Yeah, we want you up here. Might as well be heard.
Nice beard, Councilmember Cole.
Never compete with you. I'm just trying.
Anyway, and I had something to say, and then the water thing came up, and the billing for water. And we have all this information that's out there, and we have rules that are set by the DNR. We want to inform the public. You use more water, you get charged more for your water. But our water bill doesn't have that. It has a conglomeration, I don't know how they do it, of all the rates. And they put it all together in one gob, and it comes out with a bill. So we have all these rules in effect, and it hits North St. Paul, and it crashes and burns. Anyway, this subject was to do with the October 17th workshop where you had the plan for doing improvements to things, roads and whatnot. And a big item being stealing $1.2 million from the electric fund and putting it in to fix roads. Anyway, I've been at this for a long time, a real long time. And I remember back to the first meeting that I attended. It was still Bill Sandberg as being the mayor. And he and Wally got over there. I used to sit in the front. I don't do that anymore. And Wally came over to Mr. Sandberg, or either way. And Bill Sandberg said, Wally, it's a good thing we got that electric fund, because we can do a lot of things that other cities can't. You bet your life. And back in the day, maybe, 8 years ago, we were pulling $4 million out of the electric fund. And the electric fund had $4 million because of what? Overcharging citizens for their electric utility. And in this case, we had on the agenda for the workshop was taking that $1.2 million from the electric fund to use it to fix streets when it should be poured into the electric utility. And some of the things that happened over the years were things like the community center was built with a lot of electric fund money. And where is that today? And then we had the fiber optic backbone that went from 120 and 94 all the way up to County Road B, and then followed that to Roseville. Where is that today? Now, all those hundreds of thousands of dollars put into that thing, you don't even have it stated anymore. You just say, we got $50-some thousand in receipts and we spent it on $50-some thousand of whatever. But at that meeting, and I'm thanking you for letting me go on, but Council Member Nordby said at that last workshop meeting, where does that money come from? Speaking of the $1.2 million. And I went, yay! For the first time in 20-some years of being at these meetings, a council member said, where does it come from? And it comes from, as the finance officer said, it comes from charging too much.
Okay.
And you've got to do something about getting these things under control of taking money from people and when they're paying for their electric bill and then using it somewhere else.
Thank you. Okay. Is there anybody online? Okay. Thank you.
Next up are city business action items and recommendations. Item A, consideration of ordinance number 823, an amendment to City Code Chapter 118 concerning tobacco regulations. Earlier this year, we had Katie Ingman here back on September 19th and October 3rd for workshop discussions. The idea is, or there were things that cities needed to make decisions on, that is distance from youth-orientated facilities for places that sell tobacco, the flavoring, the capping of the license number at 7, and then penalties as well. So this was just all put together from that last item per your recommendations. If you had any further questions, I think Katie would agree to come up and deal with that. Otherwise, it's just looking for an agreement.
Any questions, anyone?
Let's see. Did we, I'm sorry, can you clarify whether we, what the distance was for the youth-oriented facility?
750 feet.
750 feet. And then the flavored tobacco?
It was discussed that there was not going to be restrictions on the flavors.
Yeah, I think personally I would like to see that added.
I believe that was, we certainly can. I believe that was, got everybody's input on the last part, but we can certainly readdress that if council so wishes.
Any comments?
Any comments, objections about it? Or anybody?
No, I think the question becomes, do you want to adopt it as is and come back with another amendment, or are you asking us to bring back this version with that addition? Or candidly, is there agreement that that should be put into the ordinance? So I think that would be the question for the council at this point.
And that was discussed at the last workshop that we did, that we weren't going to do flavor.
Correct. That there was not going to be restrictions on the flavor.
So I'm comfortable with moving forward as it currently stated, so we can, keep everything moving forward. We get a lot of the areas where we weren't aligned with the state back in order. And if we want to come back and take a look at the flavored piece, it sounds like we can certainly do that. But I would like to continue to move the process through at this point.
Councilmember Norby?
I second what Tim says.
Okay. Let's get it on the books and then work from there. So motion to adopt?
So moved, Your Honor.
So move, Councilmember Norby.
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cole. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those nay?
Nay.
Nay.
Mr. Mayor, as a matter of housekeeping, there is, I believe, a summary ordinance also proposed, keeping in mind that that does require 4 of you to vote on it. The ordinance has been adopted. What the summary ordinance does is not necessarily indicate your support for the ordinance, but it does allow the city to publish this in a more summary fashion, saving the city money. So if there was a motion for that, that would be helpful too, for the summary ordinance.
I get a motion for the summary ordinance?
So moved.
So move, Councilmember Cole.
Second.
Second, Councilmember Norby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next up under city's business action items, item B. Item B was pulled from consent agenda, October 17th, 2023, regular meeting minutes.
All right, so in those minutes, in the reports section, I was just wanted to make a small correction where it said Hang Time Board Shop had the suicide awareness event. I did not ride a haystack or a hay bale or whatever it said. But I did ride a skateboard.
Hay bale.
Hay bale, that'd be kind of tough to ride.
Yeah. But that's it.
Okay, Thank you.
All right, next up,
We
item,
need to approve with the
Yep,
amended.
you need a motion and a second
Oh,
to
that's right,
approve
go
the
ahead.
amended
Okay.
minutes.
You want to
So
move
moved.
it? So move, Councilmember Wong.
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cole. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
all right, item C was the North St. Paul participation in Minnesota's Toward Death Zero Grant Program, or Toward Death Grant Program.
Thank you for opening up this for discussion. I first want to acknowledge and thank all of the staff that have given a lot of efforts in seeking grants. I think that's made a big difference and can alleviate some of the financial impact on the residents. So I do appreciate that. I pulled this item this evening to discuss traffic safety and the City of North St. Paul and North St. Paul PD's commitment and accountability to a culture of toward zero death. Every morning, all council members and the city manager get an automated daily report that contains incident information from the previous day. This report includes information such as date and time, incident code or type, location, and a public narrative. I read the report for November 11th, 2023 at 6:45 a.m. A traffic stop was conducted on McKnight. The public narrative read, and I quote, "Officer stopped vehicle traveling SB McKnight Road at Highway 36 for a high rate of speed. Driver was a Ramsey County Correctional Officer, 78 and a 35, 2 priors, VW given." I believe VW means verbal warning. This immediately raises a lot of questions for me, and I would like to know why it's acceptable for somebody to speed at 78 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour zone. And yeah, why?
Sure. It's definitely a fair question. Let me just start with just talking about our overall mission of our police department. The mission states, the mission of the North St. Paul Police Department is to advance the quality of life in our community by providing compassionate and professional public service. Our officers serve our residents with empathy, respect, integrity, and courage, and we sure do issue a lot of warnings, and we have great educational conversations with our community members to encourage good behaviors. There's no law that states that we shall issue citations for traffic stops. So in that particular stop, that driver was stopped, and a warning was issued, and there's no law that says these interactions have to be punitive. There's no law that takes away officer discretion when it comes to traffic stops. This means officers do not have to make all these interactions negative through a citation corrective action. I want our officers to be humans and make good decisions driven by those values of our police department. So when it comes to traffic enforcement, we do often take that educational approach, and this is in direct alignment with that Lights On program that you heard about earlier, that we're soon going to be starting. We just heard in that program from John and Sherman about all the benefits of positive interactions between police and community members during traffic stops. Our officers are doing that. We're turning what can be a very dreadful traffic stop and nervous and intimidating situation into an opportunity to create a positive interaction between community members and our officers. And meanwhile, we're simultaneously improving the safety on our roadways. Our officers aren't robots. They don't just issue citations without regard to any human elements. We have great people here, and the decisions to issue warnings is one way that they're building community and building trust with the folks in our community. Furthermore, when someone receives a warning for a traffic citation, it has ripple effects that extend well beyond the traffic stop. That person who received that warning is going to tell that story about being stopped by the police, which can be a very stressful situation, and it's going to be a positive story of how they received a warning and how they're never going to do that again. The same officer who issued this warning in the incident that you brought up earlier this summer issued another warning to a juvenile going 67 and a 30. In this instance, the officer contacted the juvenile's parents, let them know about the incident. The officer then received a handwritten letter of apology from the kid he wrote the warning to. This child then searched for and found the same officer working at the Minnesota State Fair this summer and gave him another thank you in person, just truly expressing how appreciative they were for receiving that warning on that day earlier this summer. And these are the types of powerful interactions that can occur when our officers are allowed the discretion to be humans in the job and not robots only issuing citations. To shine a little more light on how our officers use the education and communication approach, I ran the data, found out that we issued hundreds more warnings than we do citations, nearly 42 to 1. 42 warnings for every 1 citation issued. In the past 30 days, our officers combined to issue 91 traffic warnings and only 2 citations. Since July 10th, 487 warnings on traffic stops and only 12 citations. This educational approach is the common practice that is occurring. We have a clear, it's pretty clear and prevalent that through education and enforcement, we can achieve that behavior change, which is the ultimate goal, that we want safer streets. We want people not to be speeding on our roadways, but if that can be accomplished by issuing a warning instead of a citation, then it's a win. We also are setting historic highs for the city and the department for the amount of arrests that we're making on traffic stops for drunk driving, which is running in direct parallel with the goals of the TZD program, which we're happy to participate in again. Just a little on my approach. Absolutely believe in trust and transparency, which I'm very happy to share those daily summary reports of all these incidents within the previous 24 hours that you all receive every single day. And our officers are also well aware that you receive these reports. They shared that information that you read because they wanted the rest of our cops to see that this person received a warning in this incident, and if any officers witness similar behavior from the same person, to not issue them a warning the next time around. I'm also a firm believer in accountability. I don't think there's anybody that I've met throughout my entire career that would refute that. I have and will absolutely continue to hold officers accountable to delivering the highest level of professional service in our community, and that's I'm intrinsically motivated to do that. In these discretionary traffic stops, my team's trying to be good people with the educational approach, and we often take this approach to accomplish our mission, and that's what I want them to see. Our officers are doing the right thing, and I'm not going to scrutinize them for educating and building trust. This is further highlighted by the fact that our officers have received 0 use of force complaints from the public throughout the past 2 years and 0 standards of conduct complaints from the public throughout this year. That says a lot. I don't think there's a lot of departments in the entire state or country that can say that. To me, that says the public recognizes that we're doing a good job. They're not filing complaints saying that we're not doing a good job. They appreciate what we're doing, and the lack of complaints definitely shows that. So I have complete trust that the officers on this team are working towards our mission, serving with the values that embody this department: empathy, respect, integrity, courage. Just a little more on TZD stuff. One of it's the 4 E's in TZD, and one of them is education, and we're absolutely accomplishing the educational route. The other is enforcement. We're achieving that through the number of drunk driving arrests that we make. Engineering, I'm constantly working with placing the radar signs that we bought with forfeiture money all around the city to show people their speeds, and I believe that those are very effective. I'm also working with Ramsey County Public Works to get some more stop signs on 17th at some problematic intersections where we've seen a lot of accidents, and working towards improving those and getting people to stop instead of blowing stop signs. So we're hitting all the E's, and then emergency medical care is the other E in TZD, and we're going to be the first ones on scene, fixing people and helping them heal if they are in an accident. So we're accomplishing all the goals of TZD, and happy to keep working towards that in our mission as a department.
Thank you for your response. I am curious on why 78 miles per hour and a 35 with 2 priors makes sense. I think education is important, of course, and we want to foster that culture of positive interaction. I just don't understand why this is acceptable. It feels, when I read that there's also a Ramsey County Corrections officer in there, that doesn't look good, doesn't feel good from the public's perspective. It feels like a violation of trust.
Sure. So you might think that until you see the data that says this happens 487 times out of the past 12 months. So this is the norm. Receiving a citation is not the norm.
At the speed?
At the speed?
At the 43 miles
speed was
per
definitely
hour
high.
over the speed limit.
So in that particular instance, if there are 2 priors, obviously that didn't work towards correcting the behavior because there's 2 priors. So maybe trying something new through a warning and an educational approach would be the effective way of accomplishing that behavior change that we want to see and having them not speed through our community. I did reach out to the person that received that warning, and they did indeed tell me that they were very much appreciative of the warning and that they would not be speeding through the city of North St. Paul anymore after receiving that warning. And the person's also a resident of North St. Paul, so yeah, good to know that that seems to be effective, and time will tell. I mean, our ultimate goal is we don't want people speeding, so whether we slap them with a $150 fine or we give them a warning, if the goal is behavior change, follow the speed limits, I'm giving them the discretion to accomplish that however they see fit, because they're the ones that are in the driver's side or passenger side window having that conversation with the driver on scene and using their best discretion to make the right decision that's going to lead to that behavior change and safer streets.
I have a question. When
Sure.
does it become careless driving? When you're over double the speed limit? We're talking speeding here, but I think we're past speeding, aren't we? When we're looking at.
Oh, that's moving,
I mean,
for
if
sure.
Somebody's backing out of their driveway on McKnight, take a look to the other side. By the time they start backing up again, that car's in them. That's just as dangerous as a drunk driver, I would think.
Yeah, so that didn't happen in this case. The driver, thankfully, if you're getting into the specifics of it, I believe officers are always factoring the entire circumstances on whether or not they're going to issue a citation or a warning. So things like time of day, weather, cars on the street, are there pedestrians around? All of those things are considered into any decision that an officer is going to do to issue a citation or the warning. In this case, the officer decided to go with a warning, and
But is it considered careless driving? What's considered careless driving? Is there an amount of speed? I thought if you're over double the speed limit, that's careless driving. Is that not?
that might have been. I'm not 100% confident on that, but ultimately, officers have discretion to issue citations or warnings. There's no law that says you shall issue a citation for careless driving, for speeding. That's a
With 2
law.
priors?
Yeah, it doesn't make a difference. They can use that discretion. Again, if our ultimate goal is behavior change and trying to get them to stop doing that, I'm leaving it to our officers to make that judgment call, and they're doing a darn good job of it. And I don't see any reason to tell them otherwise. If again, the complaints aren't there, the community's saying that we're doing a good job.
This is a complaint, I believe, because it just does not justify. It's very confusing to me on why this person's role is even in the documentation.
Okay.
It looks like it looks like there's some use of position to make a decision, is what it looks like. So I would like to know why.
Yep, we're kind of repeating that question. 487 warnings. Not all of them are correctional officers. They're probably from every single profession in life. If you want me to go through and identify what profession each person was. I'm guessing, again, that information was shared because we want to pass and make sure that all the officers know, hey, there's a correctional officer that was speeding through the city. They got a warning this time. If you see them again and they don't have that behavior change, do not issue them a warning for it, and you'd probably be able to identify them by the correctional officer uniform if they happen to be wearing one.
I disagree with the these practices, and frankly, I think it hurts public trust. I do not feel that this is acceptable, and it's concerning.
So
This
would
should be
you?
a concern. I don't understand why this doesn't seem like a concern.
Because there's 487 warnings issued in the past 3 months, and that's the common practice of all traffic stops, and that's what the data shows.
I appreciate data a lot. I'm
Yeah.
talking about this particular incident as well. But what concerns me too is the approach. If it's just left up for simply just discretion without accountability, it just doesn't make sense to me. So we're talking about 78 and a 35 residential. 43 miles per hour over the speed limit. 2 priors, Ramsey County Correctional Officer. Verbal warning given.
Yep, I read that same thing.
That should solicit some questions.
Yeah, I think I addressed them as much as I possibly could. There's no state statute that says we have to issue citations. We have that discretion. And our officers are taking the educational approach to accomplish that behavior change that we want to see.
Anything else? I guess, I don't know where to go from here.
If the discussion is done, you have to vote to move forward.
Okay, can you read it again, please?
That, it's a North St. Paul participation in Minnesota Towards Zero Death grant program.
Mm-hmm.
So
Would like somebody move?
So moved.
Move. Councilmember Cole. Second, anyone? Second, Councilmember Norby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm all for education and everything.
Did you say, I didn't know if you said
Yeah,
anything. Okay, I didn't hear you say. So I want to make sure.
I think the grant and the approach is valid. I think that internally, the implementation is questionable.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
All right, item D is the park rental policy amendment.
I pulled that. We had, I think, a lengthy conversation during workshop. I think everyone was present and understands my feeling as to why I'm pulling it for tonight, and I will not support it until I have better education.
Tim, I apologize. I misunderstood that. Can you repeat that?
What's in front of us tonight, which was on the consent agenda P, park rental policy, listed all the park fees, fines, deposits, et cetera, as they were so stated. And we had a lengthy conversation about damage deposits and some other things going around it. And so until I hear otherwise, I can't support what's in front of us for fees.
Okay. It was that last part that I got.
Yep.
Thank you.
During the workshop, we discussed putting a later date. Is that part of this then? If we voted no, then it won't, then we don't move forward with the.
Correct.
For that.
Correct. And then it would could then come back up.
That's what I'm saying. Then what it is, it's going to come back in a
Yep.
little time.
Yep.
completely ready to go.
And then city has to figure out how they're going to dance between the 1st and the 6th.
Yes, and we'll bring that forward to the next council meeting for your approval.
Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
So move. Councilmember Wong. Second.
Second?
Councilmember Norby. All those in favor say aye. All those against say nay.
Nay.
Motion denied.
All right. Next up, reports from city manager. So I did get the yearly report from the Metropolitan Mosquito Control District. Some interesting stats that they send out with this. Said they had near record snowfall during the winter of 22-23, which brought a lot of water in the spring, which had the mosquito, unfortunately, surge early in the year. It was more than a 10-year average until late May and early June, but then it all dried up, so then there wasn't as many. Unfortunately, what we're seeing in Minnesota, some of these diseases moving north, they've had several West Nile virus activities. Actually, it's been the largest in the past 10 years, it sounds like. They took 129 samples were tested positive out of 818 samples that they tested in the metro area. So it's out there. It's not just the red bumpy itch anymore. So anyway, that's just an update. From the departments, looks like the fire had one volunteer step down, but they had another one that they pulled on, so they are still currently at 32 volunteer firemen, or fire people. They're putting time and effort into specking out a new engine that they'll bring forward later. Public Works, I think they finished up their street sweeping. The roof on the student built was put up. They haven't got it shingled yet, but they're moving along on that project. I think that's the high points for me. That's all I got.
Okay.
Reports from
council and commissions. Any? Councilmember Norby?
The planning commission met on first Thursday in November. There was a variance. That variance was ultimately not approved with the thought that they're going to recommend a change to the overall plan because it didn't quite meet the variances. So that will be coming up in a workshop and a council later. And I am very excited to welcome Elizabeth Gadbois.
Help.
Gadbois
Good names, you know that.
as a new appointment to the planning commission.
Oh, good.
So very excited to.
I interviewed her. She's very good.
Yep. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you.
Is the planning commission full at this point?
No, we're going to actually had a couple, two more people that have.
More applicants?
Two more applicants? And two positions.
3 more applicants and 2 positions? Great. Good to hear.
Yeah.
When are those going to occur?
I just had received an email from Chris yesterday or the day before that says, what does next week look like? So that's what I would be looking at my calendar.
Sounds good.
Yeah, me and Commissioner Blease. Councilmember Wong?
Yeah, the Arts and Culture Commission met earlier this month on November 7th. We kind of discussed a few different projects that had been going on, like Project Snowy, which is moving along. I think I mentioned that there will be more utility box coming forth in the new year. And let's see. I think that's just about it. I think the Arts and Culture Commission deserves a lot of rest. They've done a lot of work this year, so yeah, just continue looking out for their work, and the community is getting really involved, so that's always a beautiful thing. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Cole?
I was unable to attend the last EDA meeting, so I'm Without prior notice, I'm going to, if there's any significant updates you'd like to bring forward, I'd appreciate that.
Sure, you bet. We had a meeting with the EDA. We have a bunch of changes. We have just about every seat that will be turning over as far as being renewed or that. So we have Terry Furlong is our only holdout from the last group. So we're looking at doing some different changes as far as the EDA. We're looking at bringing the EDA back towards the council for some of the meetings, and you put the EDA as a regular commission, like a lot of our other neighbors do, as far as how the EDA works. So we're just looking at for the different funds and be able to vote, or be able to bring up budgets and payments and things like that. So trying to look at that and see if that would work better. So that's where we were with the EDA on that. All right. General business. Councilmember Norby.
At this time, I would like to bring something up that I'm very passionate about. I really wish I was more of an eloquent speaker at this moment. But one of the things that makes me very proud to be a North St. Paul resident is one of the projects our resident Rachel Thompson has taken upon herself. This time of the year, she does the North St. Paul Christmas Tree Project. As far as I'm concerned, this is one of the most wonderful giving things I've seen someone do in a long time. She started this in 2020, and I highly encourage every single resident, everyone listening to this, to go on the Care 11 and search for the North St. Paul Christmas Tree Project, or email her at nspchristmastreeproject@gmail.com. Like I said, I couldn't be more proud of one of our North St. Paul residents. This is one of the amount of work she puts into this, just to make sure some of our needy locals can help get what they need. Truly, truly impressed by this resident. So I would implore all of you to take 2 to 3 minutes to do some research and see if there's something that you could help support.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
And a second thing, some of the stuff Lisa was talking about earlier, I can share some of her concerns with, and I would move that we put that on a workshop meeting so it can have further discussion. About the 78 and the 35.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Councilmember Wong?
Yeah, I'm just wishing everyone, a happy holiday and hoping that you spend it with people that you care about or animals that you care about, or, a place where you can just really reflect on all the things you're grateful for. And certainly a big thank you to a lot of the city staff, city manager, and council, and you too, city attorney, for all your work.
Right.
Thank God.
I reiterate what Councilmember Wong said. Happy Thanksgiving to all. Eat a lot of turkey, have a lot of fun, watch a lot of football. I believe all of us present had the opportunity to attend the Veteran Park celebration on the 11th, 10th or 11th.
11th, yeah.
Phenomenal job done. Thank everyone for their energy, efforts to get it all done, to get it out there. It was, as always, it's a very moving event.
And Public Works always there for the cleanup.
Set up, clean up, and make it look pretty.
Yep.
That's it.
I'd like to second the Veterans Park Veterans Day Memorial. It was first time I was able to go during the work week, or during the weekend, so I didn't have to take off time, and it was very moving. It was just about a half hour, but it was a pleasure to be a part of. So I want to thank everybody involved in that, and wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy your weekend. There's Black Friday football on Amazon, so you get another game if you want it. So we're laying around even more this year. So thanks, everybody. So anybody move to adjourn?
So moved, Your Honor.
So move. Councilmember Wong, second? Second. Councilmember Norby, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.